Rascal. We both visited, and I think you were probably there first, a very gothic gargoyle shop in Boston. Do you remember the name of that shop?
I just lost it. What was it? Do you have it?
No,
No?
I completely
That's
lost it. I wanted to cover that, make it a little,
yes.
make it a little
The
bit nicer.
yes. I could find it real quick and I'll let you know. Well, you can still talk about it while I look for it.
Well, I remember going in there quickly once or twice, and I never spoke to anybody. They had really old paintings. They had the soundtrack playing, which is something we're going to talk about. It was called Melancholy. What was it? The name of the soundtrack?
Anatomy of a Melancholy.
Anatomy of the Melancholy.
And the name of the store was called Gargoyles, Grotesques, and Chimeras.
Gargoyles, Grotesques, and Chimeras. That's right. And it was in Boston, Newbury Street. This was
Oh,
late
Newbury.
90s, early 2000s. And it was a really cool shop. They had antiques, and they had that soundtrack that was haunting, and a soundtrack that I believe tell the story to the viewers. You went in and you listened to it, and how did it go?
Well, we remember going into the store because there was a strange vibe in that place, just even from outside, just the kind of the kind of items that the place had. It was old relics. They had that sort of
Antiques, right?
antiques. They had like the hand painted glass, and they had all
Right.
kinds of. They had a lot of different art pieces, works of art that just it was definitely unique. It wasn't the
Right.
kind of it was it was a very dark place when you not dark in the sense that it was the energy was dark,
No,
but
no.
definitely
Mysterious.
it was
Mysterious.
mysterious, it was mythical,
Right.
it was filled with mysticism, but none of it was negative.
No.
And when you went inside the different artists that the owner um, the owner housed, the different pieces he had bought and the other relics he had collected throughout the years were special pieces. The
Right.
guy himself was like sort of a folk legend in Boston,
Right.
because he didn't have any prices on any of the items,
Right.
and you would go inside and say, "Hey, I like this," and let's see, you pick up like an old statue of Joan of Arc, for example, or something like that, and he would ask you, how much do you think it's worth?
Right. Right.
And
It's like a
then
picker. Right.
yeah, but you know, it was a very, very free thinking and very positive and very artistic environment. So nonetheless, that's just to paint a picture of what the store was like. But in the background, there was this music always playing,
Right.
and it was always the same song. And I remember I'd gone there a couple of times, and the music was on, and it set you in a trance, man. It would just set you in this
Right.
special this place that you just couldn't.
Right. Well,
It became part of the journey of when you walked into that store.
I mean, look, living in Boston, it's a magical thing if you can live there once in your life. You should. I don't know how things are there, but I think when we've lived there, we were lucky. I remember Newbury Street was very trendy. There was a lot of like weird shops that not shops, very preppy, very happy-go-lucky, very fashion and a lot of propaganda, a lot of and I remember it's not because there was Newbury Comics too, somewhere. I mean, I don't remember exactly where, but the place had a smell to it. It smelled old. It was kind of cold. Uh, there was stained glass stuff in it. And I never saw the owner. And part of the reason I remember going in there is because you had mentioned it. I don't remember when they closed down, but it did sometime in the, I don't know, 2000s or maybe early 2000, I think. And you went up and you got a tape and you played that tape, and I never really put it together until we were talking about it. And
Mm-hmm.
you would play that music, and I'm sure when I went in I heard it, but I didn't put it together. I did not put it together, and we couldn't find you couldn't find for a long time. You lost a copy, and you couldn't find that the song that was playing. So we're gonna put a link down to that website on our YouTube, so you guys can get
Yeah.
exposed to that vibe, because the music itself has the vibe of some
Yeah,
gothic
and
part of
there's a
Boston.
story behind the music because when I went up to I don't
Yeah,
know if it
you have
was
to
the,
tell this story.
and I don't think it was, I don't know if it was the owner. I don't remember. I think it was, I was speaking to a lady there. I don't
Yeah,
think it was
I
him.
think you told me it was
Okay.
a lady. It was a lady. Yeah.
But I said to her, I said, "What is this beautiful, this gorgeous music, this piece?" And it was just this haunting piece on the piano,
Right. Right.
and you could hear these noises in the back. It's very, very questionable as to what's the sound in the back. I think that's also a part of the mysticism of the tape.
Right.
And I asked her, and I said, "Do you guys sell this tape? Do you sell? Do you?"
Right.
And she goes,
Right.
and I asked her, "Who is it?" And she said, she looked at me and she goes, "Come back tomorrow, and I'll tell you the story."
Right. You went back, right?
And I went back the
Right.
next day, and I just couldn't get
So
the sound out of my mind.
right.
And I went back the next day, and she had made the tape for me, and it was a cover, and it was just a cover of a woman faded in the back, and you couldn't see her head, and it was black and white, and she
Oh,
was
wow.
naked.
Wow.
She was naked,
Wow.
and she gave me the tape for free. She didn't even charge me.
Wow. That's awesome.
She just gave it
That's
to me, and she said, "I'm not gonna sell you this."
right.
Oh, because I asked her, "Well, how much do I owe you?" And she goes, "I'm not gonna sell you this because this tape was found in a dumpster." And then she went on to say, "I believe this music was the last piece written before this person died."
And just to pause real fast, just to let the viewers know, the music is a piano medley. It's
About
very
an
dark,
hour.
very gothic. It keeps going and progressing, and in the background, you hear at some point what it sounds like a rope or something, something
Yeah.
hanging and creaking and moving and making.
Yeah.
You know, I it's very. I don't know what it was. What do you think it was?
Yeah, I think I hear, I could hear it was I was listening to the piece. I just see somebody dangling, like on a noose,
See, I didn't. You know,
and you hear the thickness of the rope and the tightness of it stretching, and you hear the creaks and
so
the movement.
spooky.
It's heavy. It's one of the
It's,
heaviest and it's one of the heaviest
I
pieces of
never
music I've
listened
ever
to it that
discovered,
deep. I
and
fell
it's one of the
asleep.
most beautiful I've ever heard. And but I encourage you guys to listen to the music, and it's definitely it's something that you have to experience for yourself.
Yeah, we'll put a link below, and you know, may even cover this for Halloween. And if not, if you're out there and you're listening to the Nexus somewhere in the future, happy Halloween. Because let me tell you, that soundtrack, that tape, that music is some of the most haunting music I've
Yeah.
ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Ever. There's nothing. I've heard a lot of music. I'm a great music enthusiast, and I never heard the energy behind it. The store was beautiful store and gallery in the middle of Newberry Street, and the building was, one of those old buildings, probably 100 years old, and just to for us to been able to have found that recently, and being able to share it with you guys is one of those things where it's the store's gone, There's no recollection from it.
Hey,
Somebody that
that's
was
kind of that's all that's left is that piece.
that piece, and I'll put the person's blog because he actually wrote about it. I don't know the gentleman's name or the lady's name, but
Yeah,
I was so happy that somebody
yeah.
wrote about it.
Actually
I
put it
mean,
up. That was
yes,
just incredible.
that was incredible, and it's like finding a work of art in a garage,
Yeah,
or going to
that's how she found it in a dumpster.
right, or going to a thrift store and finding a piece of furniture or some kind of treasure that you know it's and like I said, the whole energy behind it is very gothic, very haunting, and everybody can make up their mind to what you think the sound is. Leche said what he thought it was. I don't know. I mean, it does sound like whatever he described it, and maybe we'll take these comments off, but you make up your mind because it's one of the when you start
Yeah,
listening.
I'm curious if whoever hears it, anybody that's listening to the podcast, put your comments below, just to give us your interpretation of the piece and what
Right.
if you hear it in the background, what you might think it is. It's definitely it's something that's surreal and could very well be from another dimension.
Well, the interesting part is that the lady you spoke to worked there. Number two, she didn't ask for money for the tape, which I think that's very interesting. Number three, she made you the copy and you went back. You might have had it, something might have came up, but you decided to go back, and it was there waiting for you. And the whole finding it in the dumpster, and the whole connection to the place is just in a weird kind of way magical, but also very X-Files or Twilight Zone or whatever was your creep show growing up. So look below, and you can find the link. I'll put both of the links in the comment sections, and enjoy if you find it, and have yourself a haunted night listening to one of the most
very haunted night,
darkest melancholia ever played. Good night, everybody, from the Nexus.
You are in the Nexus Wormhole.
You are in the Nexus Wormhole with your host, Sonic Rascal.